We have Bobby coming in a few moments. We're going to be doing a quick look at the Saturday. Well, not a quick look. We've already took a quick look. We're going to go over what we're doing for the day. Let me go into YouTube and enable the subscriber-only chat. And then we'll be ready to go. Subscribers. Excellent. Okay. I have to say, it's a really big day for DFS today. We have 3 football games and we have the MMA. So it's a big day throughout. I have family coming over for something a little bit later today, so we're chilling. Take a look and see what the slate looks like for the NBA later, and I'll let you know what my schedule is as far as that goes. Hope to be able to do something with that. The NBA schedule is 7 o'clock, so I'll probably try to find some time to do that a little bit later.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? So I was just updating everybody on the schedule. I just took a look at the NBA schedule to see when if I was going to be able to put some stuff up. And it's not till 7. What's that?
It's going to be a nightmare. Like 5 back-to-backs on a Saturday. It's going to be kind of a shit show, I think, for NBA slates, even as far as NBA slates go.
You mean as far as content goes, or the slate in general?
No, just the slate in general. I mean, it's going to be tough.
What do you mean?
It's just there's a ton of games. It's Saturday. There's 5 teams on back-to-backs. In that situation, you usually have people sitting like crazy and a lot of late news. So just throwing it out there. I looked at it a little bit, but I don't know if I'm not going to.
Oh, and look at the prize pool is pretty poor, huh?
Yeah, they're going football today.
The alley-oop is only $10K for first. So so I'll probably, if I have time, I will put up the sheets or something like that. I don't know if I'm playing. I don't think I'm going to play the big buy-in myself.
Yeah,
I'm focused on on getting all that football cheese today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in with you.
And MMA for me.
I had a good night last night, by the way, but almost a really good night.
I had a really bad night, but almost an atrocious night. So
did you get all the late news? Because I post everything in our Discord, but I'm not sure if I.
No, I guess not. What was it?
Well, the Lakers sitting 5 guys and only.
Well, that I saw. I didn't know who to play.
Yeah. So, oddly, the weird part is my lineup that had a chance. I finished 8th in the 7-7-7. I finished 8th and 20th, I think, or 20 something.
Really? Jesus Christ.
With two pretty different lineups, but it was a little frustrating because Tari Eason got taken out of the game with like 5 minutes to go, and they brought him back in with like 2 minutes to go. And those extra 3 minutes, if I could have come in second, if he would have gotten like 7 or 8 fantasy points or something like that, I think it was in those 2 minutes, those 5 minutes. But it was a good run though. I liked it. I played Christian Wood, which was a speculative at best, and he put up 40 fantasy points, so that was nice. But it was fun.
Very nice.
Yeah. So now maybe as we say again, a springboard onto today. So how do you want to approach this? Do we want to talk about we could do a quick run through of the maybe showdowns if you want to, or we could just talk about the main slate.
Yeah. First of all, let me just make one announcement again in concert with that comment about the alley-oop only paying 10K. Here's something that I don't know if I've ever seen, but we'll see. So the 400, the big one in hockey today, is paying 10K also.
Oh.
Can you imagine hockey paying the same as NBA on a slate?
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
I don't think ever. But interesting. So
yeah.
I will have sheets up just for announcements for NBA and for NHL. If there's any real news with respect to like later NFL games, I will redo the projections, but presume for now that whatever is up there are going to be the final projections for all 3 games, unless there's some injury news. If there's injury news somehow, I'll come back and redo them. But otherwise, if there's little tweaks between now and then, I'm not going to be changing it.
Right. Unfortunately, the only real injury news, the biggest piece of injury news that's on that looks projectable is going to happen in the first game, and that's going to be Jefferson. I think is going to play, but I think we should treat him as if he's going to play and definitely be a little banged up. That's probably the first piece of injury news that really is really relevant for me.
A couple of other announcements before we get right into it. I did put up a new, as I promised, the DFS UFC just pure lineup build thing, and just between you and me, like I'm getting, there's some people from like other sites that are asking me for links to that and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to do my thing and improving everybody if I can, and maybe maybe take something down myself also.
Man, you've been crushing it with all the content stuff, though. Like the things that you're coming up with, it's really great, and we need to, I need to do a better job of getting on that train with you.
That's cool. Everybody, listen. Between everybody, we're all grinding in our own ways, and putting something together for everybody, So
yeah,
it's all good. Okay, so I did all my builds. I have all my lineup stuff. Do you just want to just do say who we have or what we're doing, or how do you want to handle this?
Sure. Why don't we talk about what you like and maybe some things that you're over and underweight on, or things that you're a little heavier on than others?
All right. So again, as far as process goes, all I did was really I made a couple of tweaks in my projections and a couple of tweaks of anything. I just basically ran SaberSim, and then I just try to get a little bit unique by kind of reducing some ownership somewhere. But overall, it's just a pretty standard approach to the slate, and just hoping that things just kind of fall in a good spot for me. Again, I'm very transparent with my process, and that was pretty much what it was. As far as the 2-game slate, my top owned guys are the two highest projected running backs, I guess. So Javonte Williams and Zach Moss are my two highest owned players in general, but I don't have anybody like 100% or anything like that. I have Zach Moss 67 and Javonte Williams 55. I really do wish that I had more, and I could probably jam this more Ty Chandler in the 3-game slate.
I think it's a good call, Sheets.
I have a ton of him in the showdown, but I'd like to I might end up. That's one thing I might do. I might swap out some of my Najee Harris for Ty Chandler at the same price, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what one thing that I am going to change regarding my SaberSim exposure.
Yeah. I think that. So I'll get to my exposures in a minute. I thought that it was interesting because I'm just going to throw one lineup into each of the what's it called today. The showdown. So I thought I would just throw in a couple of the favorite showdown captains just to start off. I like Freiermuth as a captain in the Pittsburgh game at lower ownership. If I had to pick one running back for showdown, I would pick Harris. If for tournaments, I like Warren in that same game. In the Detroit-Denver game, we already know I'm going to captain Jameson Williams. It's just gonna happen. And then in the first game of the day, I like the idea of taking the gamble and what do you think about this? Tell me if I'm crazy, but captaining Chase Brown and to get everybody else in.
Again, unfortunately, with respect to showdowns, you can't really argue with much of anything. I personally I'm not getting there as far as captaining Chase Brown, but that's not to say it's bad, but
I just thought it was interesting because I could play him. It just maybe we just pick up the steam from last week. It's new with Browning.
Yeah, no problem. They just kind of up this price. It's
yeah. I wanted to. It's just for me. It was just a way of just doing something.
I'm playing a ton of lineups in the showdown. I have 36% Chandler showdown captain.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got just. He's like that guy. He's like the guy from Baltimore. The guy that just shows big explosion when he gets in, but he doesn't get in all that much, right?
Right.
And I think this is an opportunity, and you have Nick Mullins at quarterback, who's not the greatest, and I don't know. And Ty Chandler, as you mentioned, he can take it out of the back. He takes some passes out of the backfield too. I don't know. I really like him as the captain over there. As far as flex guys that I might be over on that are kind of off the board, not really that much. You want to know the truth? I don't have anything that that crazy going on. I mean, it's just really the usual guys like Jake Browning and Mullins. You know what I mean? Like, and I would tell you if there was any real cheapos. I don't really have any. What are you guys like? No Drew Sample, KJ Osborne, Brandon Powell. I'm not going to argue if you play them, but for whatever reason, I'm just not getting there today.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of frustrated. I almost want to force some of them in because it's so hard to get different on these slates that I kind of just want to like make sure to try to do it almost. But you really do have to kind of go out of your way. And I think that one thing that's, a couple of things that stand out. I just think that like both Downs and Judy are going to be a little bit lower than they should. So it kind of makes the 3K guys feel worse. Alec Pierce, I think, will be the more popular of the 3K guys, along with a little bit of Jamison Williams. But I kind of liked your idea of getting like some Raymond, getting, for me, Josh Reynolds, if he's a go. If he's not a go, then we look again at those Pittsburgh receivers, which we should know in about 20 minutes. Getting a little bit of just forcing in a Calvin Austin play here and there. You know what I mean? Forcing in just some of these Marvin Mims. Anything that I can do to get a little bit off the beaten track and hopefully get a couple plays out of those guys. And there's upside for it. We've seen it happen with some of these rookies like Mims in the past, where you get hardly any work, and then all of a sudden it's your 8 target day for 5 catches and one's a 40-yard bomb or something like that. And I could just see that happening, and I don't want to miss out on it in a 3-game slate. I think it's the time you should embrace that extreme variance and play some of these fringier guys.
The other thing I would say about the showdown, by the way, and this is only because I've just gotten attuned to this, is in the first game showdown, you don't have to get as different as like the later one because of the number of entrants. So in the showdown, in the Minnesota showdown, there's only 15,000 people in it, and compared to some of the other big showdowns, it's not really that much. Right. So you don't have to go completely cuckoo, like whereas as if I'll go to it, hold on. So like in the Denver Detroit one, which is the later one, that one's got 47,000. You know what I mean? So you got to get that much more different in that one, just because of the lack of the greater number of entries. Right. So that's something that using Saberson kind of helps with, because it reminds, and again, because I enter all this stuff now, I'm attuned to like these different numbers and stuff like that. And then like you get the big Sunday night and the Monday night thing on an end of a Sunday slate, then you got like 100,000 people in it. So in these showdowns today, in general, you don't have to get as unique as those Monday night games, but even like as you go later on in the day, you have to get more and more unique just because of the number of entries.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So I'll just go through some of my current exposures just to go through, because I don't feel like I have this. Something's wrong with my keyboard. I keep trying to type in a chat and it keeps coming out funny. So let me make sure I'm on the right game set. Okay, so right now I have Trubisky and Wilson as my highest owned quarterback, followed by Browning, Goff, Minshew in that order. I am not playing any Nick Mullins at the moment. If it comes back to bite me, so be it. Maybe I end up with one lineup of him. I just don't see any reason to get any extra. I'm just trying to make any extra chance I can. Running backs in order. Moss at 60+%. I'm probably going to end up trying to keep it closer to 50, but it's going to be somewhere between 50 and 60 probably. I'm going way heavy on Gibbs. I really like Gibbs today. I also am getting some Montgomery exposure, but like Gibbs, I have 50% right now, followed by Mixon, followed by Chandler, followed by Williams. I will probably end up being most underweight Javonte Williams. Of all these running backs, he's like the only one who has. I don't even know if he has a 20. I mean, he must have a 20 fantasy point game sometime, but I just feel like there's a lot of good running back options, and I feel like it's a little. This guy doesn't get all of the work. P. Ryan is in there plenty. They're gonna throw the ball also. That's the way you beat Detroit. So and he can catch balls. That's the one thing that could get you. And then I've got the Harrison Warren thing, but I'm thinking about moving Harrison Warren, especially Warren, ahead of Javonte Williams. That's just my current, something I'm considering right now.
So just to be very transparent here, in my 2-game slate exposure in the someone's got to win category, I have 41% Mullins.
Well, there you go. No, there you go. Look, it's not like I have a problem with it.
7% Goff. So there you go.
Yeah, well, Goff is one of my lower ones. I don't have him in one of my.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
He's one of my. The main ones are the Wilson, Trubisky, I guess I've got fourth, Browning next. And maybe Mullins is a good play. You could certainly play a narrative. I would probably have, what's his name? I would probably have a good mix of Joe Mixon and Chase Brown in those Minnesota lineups. I do think the Chase Brown thing could come through. I think he could have 0 fantasy points, and it wouldn't surprise me if he had 15. Is that good enough? I don't know, but just throwing it out there. But so and then you said that I think you meant the 3-game thing. I like your Ty Chandler call. That's the one I would like to try to get more overweight on.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
I think that's pretty sharp, and it's weird that I feel like different slates he'd be more popular. But the thing that's happened is like all the ownership sort of evened out for all the quote unquote, like as you would call them, the actual plays.
Right.
Whereas maybe taking a chance on a guy like P. Ryan and you're playing the Minnesota is going to win the game stack. P. Ryan's playing third down, although you still get tons of. I'm sorry, you play the Detroit's going to win. They're going to be throwing from behind. Maybe they're using P. Ryan a little bit more and a little bit less Javonte Williams. You could tell yourself a story with Chase Brown, but really I think that the area that you're getting different today is at receiver, and including guys like it's going to be the cheap guys because it's so easy to get everybody in. It's going to be the cheap guys and T. Higgins that are low owned, basically. Everybody else is sort of out there. And I would just try to, not on every single lineup necessarily, but in most of my lineups, I'm trying to force in an uncomfortable play of Marvin Mims or Jameson Williams, Khalif Raymond.
What about Lil Jordan Humphrey?
Lil Jordan Humphrey, I crossed my mind. I think I'm just going to go the route of the maybe that's more of a showdown one for me, I think, if I had to play it. But I think I would just rather play Mims than Little Jordan Humphrey. At least Mims is a rookie that they have hopes for. Seats blowing up.
Nothing I have to do with.
No, Neil, that's a different channel that we have. Anyway. All right. So a couple of different, you're going to run into some things. So let's talk sheets real quickly. Of the ownership of the high-end receivers, I think this is a pretty important thing to touch on because all of them are going to be extremely owned, which also reminds me that leaving up to 800 on the table today is totally viable. But how are you sort of dividing up your ownership between Pittman, Chase, Brown, St. Brown, and Jefferson?
Okay, so I have Chase and Pittman higher, and I have equal to Jefferson and St. Brown. I have the same amount of Pickens and Deontay Johnson and Josh Downs for that matter. So, yeah. So that, I guess that answers the question. So I do like Chase, I guess the most. Chase and Pittman would be my two favorites.
Nice. Yeah, I have it in terms of ownership right now. I have Chase Pittman as well. But I have my second highest owned receiver is Cortland Sutton, but he's a little cheaper. He's not in that same price tier that I was talking about, But so I have Chase, Pittman, Jefferson, then St. Brown. I don't mind. I just think the matchups are tougher for St. Brown, and I just don't know what to expect from Jefferson. So if you're going to tell me that he's going to be the most popular or right as popular as the other guys, I'll just take a chance with the guys who are, I feel much better about finishing the game than I do about Justin Jefferson, who's clearly. I mean, he got hit so hard last week he had to come out of the game. I just don't know what his body even looks like.
Yeah, right I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah, but I, and then of the fringier guys that I was mentioning, I have 29% of Jameson Williams. I probably end up with 20%, but this is the kind of slate where we can take this Jameson Williams shot probably better than the large slates like we do. Marvin Mims is I have 18% of right now. I have 20% Josh Downs. That's nothing special. 10% Raymond, 10% Reynolds. And then I am 3% Donovan Peoples-Jones, but just trying to force in those little extra plays to get different. One guy who also I think is kind of interesting, even with Chase back. What about Jordan Addison as an interesting, legit receiver, still a legit number 2 with Jefferson back? Who knows? Maybe he's the number 1 by the end of the day. He's 5,600, and I just think he's going to be of all the legit receivers, he's probably the lowest owned of all of them. Probably the only one sub 10%. So I would just throw in Jordan Addison just to try and get some differentiation.
That's especially if we believe that Jefferson's not a full 100%.
Yeah,
I mean, I like that a lot actually.
Yeah, and everybody's going to go and even the people who are speculating on that are going to all go to Hawkinson. So getting a little different with the Addison, especially if you're playing Mullen stacks, I think is probably a good idea. And I'm going over, it's pretty straightforward for me. I'm going to go underweight the guys for like the outside. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I have 15% of. He's going to be 40% owned. Okay, I'm going to have to just deal with whatever happens there. Jamar Chase, I'll be almost twice the field. I'll be close to 60% versus 30%. Justin Jefferson, I'll be at 25% instead of 45%. You know what I mean? Just trying to get a little bit different. Even Pittman, who's 45% owned, and he's my second highest owned stud. I have him at 30%. But Sutton, I have at 60%. So I'm just trying to make some hard things. I think that the Higgins, the Addisons, the Tyler Boyds, those are guys who could win you a slate and are going to be the ones who are forgotten about that are a legitimate part of everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. She's okay.
Dude, I want to tell you something. That this is going to be like legendary if this in fact happens. Okay, so obviously this is like not a long way to go. But how amazing! I'm going to share my screen for a second. How amazing that would this be? Like the day after I interview the soccer guy and I find out about soccer. If this holds, like,
oh my God.
How sick would this be? I'm currently in first, third, and 10th.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
PP. And God forbid this holds with having just gone over this stuff with him yesterday. That would be just completely legendary. Now this is totally like long way to go, but this would be insane. So we'll keep an eye on this.
Yeah, sorry,
What happened?
She's fine, but I guess my mom had to go to the hospital in the middle of the night.
It's just crazy. My brother freaking called me like 5 minutes ago, and I ignored him. And I'm like, should I pick up just in case something's going on? I'm like, yeah, screw him. Maybe I should call him back. This is
jeez.
Let's get out of here. You got to go you got to deal with your thing.
Okay, yeah, sorry guys.
I'm going to deal with mine too, but
okay. Good luck.
I'll talk to you later.